Anne, how are you today?
Okay, now let me ask a question. I thought you were going to do the bio first, and is this live?
Yes.
Okay, this is live. Okay, I'm fine, Naomi. How are you?
See, you're so good at this. I'm fantastic. So let's
I've had a couple.
say that again. You what?
I've had a couple of years.
So let's just jump right in. I have some questions for you, and I know that you've got some great stuff to share. You, when you were a little girl, stole radishes from your mother's garden to resell
I did.
and make money for yourself. Where did that drive come from? Where did that idea come from? And what was the drive behind being so creative at such a young age?
I don't know if I was creative. I was hungry, and I wanted the Hershey's Kisses that were a nickel. I mean, they were a penny at Kirk's 5 Points, and the little Reese's baby Reese's cups were 2 cents. And for a nickel, you could get a chocolate ice cream cone with 1 scoop. And I wanted those things. And we didn't have money. Sometimes there wasn't always quite enough to eat at home. And I wanted what everybody else had. So I sold pop bottles. And when that didn't work, I stole some radishes out of my mother's garden. And she would actually put them in bunches of 10 radishes, 10 scallions, 10 rhubarb stalks. And I would sell those to my neighbors for 10 cents out of my basket. So one day I took an extra rubber band and I took 1 or 2 of each out of the bunches and made a separate bunch, and I called it a mixed bunch and said, would you like to buy this mixed bunch? I got a dime, and I'm telling you, I stoked on chocolate and all good things.
That's amazing. So now, did your mother know that you were doing this, or did she find out later?
No, she found out later, but I did get caught one time telling her that the red around my lips was some Red Hots that somebody gave me at school, when it really was red licorice from Kirk's 5 Points. So
I love that. I love that. So fast forward a couple of years, and your path to becoming a news anchor was a little bit roundabout. You first became a teacher. You directed the outreach program for teachers, and then with some happenstance, landed a spot on television. Tell us a little bit about that, and then follow that up with advice that you would give someone who currently feels stuck, or to those people that feel like they can't see where their path is taking them.
well, let me start there if I could.
Yeah.
I believe that I live in reinvention mode. I'm 70 plus years old and I'm still reinventing. I'm still working on products for my clients. Now, I could be retired. I should be retired, but as long as they call, I can't stop. And so when I was a kid, my dad would say, look, opportunity knocks, in walks Janet Fox. He would also add, and I can hear that in my ear today when I'm having self-doubt or when I'm wondering if I should try something, opportunity knocks, in walks Janet Fox. But he would follow it up with, and if he drops blessings in your lap and you're not using them, he'll give them to somebody else. So I don't want that to happen, you see, still after all this time. So I believe that he was the first agile consultant. You step into something, you try it. If it doesn't work, you can back out. And then you try the next thing. If it doesn't work, you back out, but something's going to hit. And so I just said yes to things that came my way. And I still do that. Now, how I got into television was I was directing this program for teachers, and I hired a psychologist to talk about the affect and the attitudes and beliefs of children so teachers could figure out how to deal with those things, because they underlie difficult behaviors. So he calls me up one day and he says, Fox, Channel 5 in Boston, they've asked me to come on the Sunday morning talk show and argue. They told me to bring a couple and let them argue, and then the psychologist is supposed to sort out the arguments and have us speak to each other with proper communication. I said, well, I can argue. So I went with him that morning, live TV, not having a clue about any of that. And he made us argue. Then he sorted it out. And then afterwards, people asked him to come back with this bad couple the next Sunday and the next Sunday. And after that, somebody said to me, hey, we're needing a host here. Why don't you come audition for the host position? Well, opportunity knocks and walks Janet. So I went in, And I didn't get it, but I saw the process. And they hired a national host, and that host didn't last long. And so I found out that a woman in my church, my little funky church, was a producer on that show. And she said, I remember you. Why don't you come back and audition again? I did. And I got the host position on that show. And no training, seat of the britches. And I will tell you that one of my first live shots for that show was less than stellar. They send me to a sports race, a celebrity race. And so I'm standing on the street corner, and this beautiful woman in the studio said, and now let's go to Jan Fox at the race. Yes, I am Jan Fox, and I'm standing out at the race. And as soon as I see the racers, I can talk to them, and then I'll be back to you in the studio. And so I go back to my office, and somebody calls. Now, I have told everybody to watch me on Sunday morning because I'm going to be on TV. I even told 2 ladies in the grocery store line I didn't even know. So everybody's watching. And I think this phone call is from somebody who's going to tell me I did a good job. Yes, yes. I have a sibilant S. My S whistles. I need speech therapy? You got to be kidding. A whistling S? So, yes, I had to go to speech therapy, and she made me read the front page of the Boston Globe out loud every day. And if I got to a word where my S whistled, I had to start that sentence over. I'm telling you, I only did that for 3 days and I was healed. So my S only whistles if I'm really excited about something.
Interesting. Interesting. So that goes to the power of perseverance as well. When you
when you grow up not having and still wanting, you learn to make do. You learn to make something happen for yourself. You learn to work around something. Yeah. And I call my mother's anger my resilience teacher. Okay? I would just find a way to not walk in the back door if I heard her feet were heavy on the kitchen floor, or I'd find a way to stay out until dark and not go in, or I'd wait until the footsteps softened and then I could go in. So I just think you survive. Yeah. I didn't have any special skills. I never took a resilience class. I never took a perseverance class. You just
figured it out.
Well, you listen to the voice in your ear. That's it. Opportunity knocks and walks. Jan Fox, if your name doesn't rhyme, it works okay anyway.
So you talking about your childhood and not having necessarily, you talk a lot about when you tell your story, socks that didn't match and hand-me-down dresses. Okay. You have since then interviewed really amazing people, including presidents of the United States. You've received awards, you've won Emmys. How does all of that come into the person that Jan Fox is today? And is there one thing that you can point to that influenced it, or is it, like you were just talking about, a culmination of the pieces along the way that you chose to keep with you?
I think it's the latter. And there's some things that never leave, like that voice, or like wanting to succeed. I don't know why. I just have this, if you do one of those tests, it tells you that I'm an activator and an achiever. I just do stuff. So I don't know why I lasted for 20 years at Channel 9. I just did the job. And so I want to do things. I want to do them right. I want to help other people as I'm doing them. So that's a driving force. But also I feel as though I had a big watchdog in the sky or something, a big Naomi in the sky who coached me and just laid a path. And I just walked that path because I didn't have what color is your parachute. I didn't have a career counselor. And I just walked. And so today, I stand here in complete and total awe, makes me get a little weepy here, and gratitude for the life I've been given. It just happened to me. Now that I take advantage of opportunities, yes. But I could have never in a million years planned that Janet Fox from the corner of Montgomery and Locust Streets in downtown Shelbyville, Indiana, would interview a president or Dolly Parton or win an Emmy. Who ever heard of them? He's where I came from. Yeah. So I have this every day. I start my day thanking God for my, whoever that is, for my hubby, my health, my house, my kids, and the life I've lived.
I love that.
So that's how I live.
I love that. So, can you tell us a little bit about your experience with Byron? You had a Habitat for Humanity story. I happen to have a Habitat for Humanity story. But your story about Byron really was important that I would love for you to share.
I'll tell you mine if you tell me yours.
I will.
So I had a chance to go down on Benning Road in Southeast DC and interview or watch Jimmy Carter and Rosalind Carter do 10 houses in a week. And it was unbelievable. And the producers said, look, we've made a deal with him that we will not bother him. We will not try to interview him on the job. I said, okay. So I just went down and plopped my camera, watched them work, and clapped if they did something right and said, good job. And he acknowledged it. And at the end of every day, he would walk past the other cameras, the two of them, and walk to my camera and answer my questions and give me sound bites. And he told me that a little boy got the third house. So I went over to check with the little boy, Byron Williams, and Byron was just the sweetest thing. He said, I'm planting this bush. I get to plant my own bush in front of my house, and I got my own room, and I don't have to share with my brother and sister. I said, I am so happy for you. I said, does this bush have flowers? He said, in the spring. So you call me up when that bush is blooming, and I'll come take another picture. So that night I put him planting his bush on TV. Springtime. Hello, Miss Fox. You don't remember me? Well, I'm Byron Williams, and my bush is a bloomin'. I said, oh, yes, I do remember you, and I'm going to come take a picture. So I took pictures of him and put him on the air again, talking about how beautiful his bush was and how much quieter his neighborhood is and how much safer it felt. I was thrilled. Miss Fox, you don't remember me, but I'm Byron Williams, and I'm about to graduate from 6th grade. Could you come speak to my class? I said, yes, I could. So I go speak to his class and answer all their questions. And then I get a call, and he said, Miss Fox, you don't remember me, but I love the Wizards. I said, don't you? Oh, you do? Don't you know my husband loves the Wizards? They were with the Bullets then, but I'll get you a ticket. So we went to the Bullets game. Then I get a call. Miss Fox, I just got baptized at the Thankful Baptist Church. I said, Byron, that's so great. So I sent him a little card, I think with a $5 bill or something in it. So then I get a call from Byron, and he says, Miss Fox, I'm old enough to work, and I'm looking for a job. I said, Byron, you take 2 buses to get over here to Channel 9 for me, and I'll walk you across the street to Johnson's Flowers, and I bet you'll get a job. And I introduced him to Greg and the owner of the place and said, this is my guy. Could you handle him for the summer? And at the end of that summer, they said that I could bring him as many Byrons as I could find. So he did me proud. Then one day, I am sitting at my desk. I swear to God, this is true. I'm sitting at my desk, and Byron Williams strolls by inside the studio. Hi, Miss Fox. Byron, what are you doing here? I got a job. I'm an assistant director or an associate director. Really? How did you get that job? I just called them up, and they remembered me and said I could come take the job. And he lasted for several years.
I love that.
Now he's, of course, grown, married, has children. And he also had a chance to go to Columbia School of Broadcasting, not the Columbia, but just a smaller broadcasting school. And I helped him a little bit with that. And he passed with flying colors and got a radio job. So I just still today, when I see him send me a birthday wish on my birthday, it just fills my heart with gratitude that he crossed my path.
Yeah. Well, and that's such an important thing, the impact that we have when we come into contact with someone else that, might have seemed very small for you to have gone over to talk to him about his flower bush. But look at what's happened for both of you, not just for him, but the impact that he's had on you as well. That's pretty special.
He could say that his life was like mine. He could have never planned from where he grew up with gunshots all around and having to crawl in the bathtub at night to make sure they didn't come in the house or didn't get hit. He could have never planned that he came from that and ended up working at Channel 9 News for a number of years.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think that's a good reminder for all of us too, that we don't know who we're coming into contact with on a daily basis as we go through our normal lives.
I'm not finished looking yet. Who's around the next corner?
That is very true. So one of the things that you say is that life is one big speech and the world is your audience. I love that quote. And something that I've really been talking a lot with the people that are my audience or the people that I surround myself with is that you don't have to be on this great big platform or on this great big stage to have an audience. Can you talk a little bit about whether there is always someone listening to us, or talk to us a little bit about our audience and what our leadership responsibilities are?
Well, I do feel like the neighbor is the audience. I have a funky little blue jean church in Bethesda. My daddy up in heaven would call it barely church, but we have 9 different countries, a dozen different denominations. And that church, we lost the pastor a year and a half ago. And I held a magic marker to help decide what we were going to do. Some other people were going to take care of the building, which is beautiful. And if we wanted to have a congregation, we had to figure it out. I held the magic marker, and don't you know I ended up in charge of a church for a year and a half? I know my brother was shaking his head at that. So probably my husband, but he was all involved too. And so there it was, an opportunity, a need that needed to be filled. And I didn't speak every Sunday at all. I found the rabbi down the street and a Muslim guy that runs a program and people from nonprofits, and just found people to speak. So I did not anticipate that audience. Then I think that people on Facebook follow my tips. I just put little tips and they follow those. And then if somebody writes on Facebook, Jan Fox really took away my fear of speaking, then somebody sends me a little secret message, can you do that to me? Yes, I can. And so I don't even know how to advertise, Naomi. You have a better platform built than I do. A lot of the people that I've coached have better platforms. I can't be bothered with the minutia of that, and they still keep coming. So today, I was in downtown DC talking to a couple of lawyers, and they want me to, for free, moderate a panel on good speaking for 5 Howard University students that they're going to be mentoring, plus their mentors, plus others in the community. Now, am I going to say no to that? So the National Speakers Association would say, stop saying yes to free gigs. But if that free gig, when I read about it or if I hear about it and that touches my heart in some way, I'm going. Yeah. And I guarantee you some client will come out of that event. They always do. Yeah. So audiences are around every corner.
Yeah.
My granddaughter, for 3 or 4 years, my favorite audience every week was going to my granddaughter's class and reading or doing Flossie the Puppet that my daddy did in his Sunday school classes.
Yeah.
So,
well, and that goes into my next story. You and I have actually worked together, and we talked a little bit while we worked together about my on-camera persona, my space, when I hold space with my clients and all of that. And one of the things that I remember you touching on the most was our story. And you said, if you can figure out what story it is that lives inside of you, that's how you present yourself. That's how you show up. Why is it so important that we share our stories? Sometimes stories feel, too private or too vulnerable. But talk to us a little bit about your story and our stories and what we all have to gain by sharing.
Well, Naomi, first of all, you're the only one who can tell your story. That's it. Nobody else can tell your story. Nobody else can tell my wacky story. And I know beyond a shadow of a doubt from talking to you first of all, you came to me cooked. You needed nothing from me. I want to get that straight, okay? Look at that smile. Look at that face. That's a presence on TV right there.
Thank you.
So I don't believe that we end up with these stories for no reason. I think we're obligated by the big universe to share them. And somebody will be touched. Somebody somewhere is in the same boat we were in. Somebody somewhere is stuck and is going to hear opportunity knocks and walks, whatever their name is, and they can get themselves unstuck. So I feel like the stories are what put a little drape, a little netting of uniqueness around us.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you look at us fast, we kind of look alike. But if you look under that little netting, there's the uniqueness. And that's what gives us a special story to share with people so that they can get unstuck in their lives.
Yeah, I love that. And you were talking just a little while ago about the tips that you put on Facebook. You call them tweaks often.
Yes.
What is it about our mindset? Because that's something that keeps coming up in these interviews is mindset. And I think that a lot of people look at mindset as something that's a little out there, a little woo-woo, something that maybe they don't need because they're action takers and they are doers. How important is mindset and how important are tweaks in our lives?
Well, how good would a doer be if a doer couldn't imagine or couldn't have a mind's eye view of the next step? And most of us, if I said to you, you're going to have to come to me for 7 sessions and I'll charge you a very big amount of money for a retainer and I'll get you ready for TV, you go, oh my God. If somebody says, I've got a lot of fear, and I say, well, it's a very long process and you're going to have to be patient. I want to give you the smallest step possible to put you in action. I'm about the doing. And so I know there are people who do the big why workshops and they're very, very valuable. I don't want to go to another one to figure out my why. My big why is to help you express your big why in a way that people can follow you in the world and have a better life. So I got my big why. But also, I believe that most people come with it and they come with an authentic voice. It's just under the surface. It might be just a tweak, one little thing, like stand up a little straighter and let's say that again. Talk just a little louder and see what happens. Oh, you look more powerful. Exactly. You have more confidence. I didn't even say that word.
Yeah.
And so I might not be exactly a coach because I don't sometimes wait for them to say, I need to talk louder, or I see that I need to do this. I say, what about this? And then they say, oh yeah, and what about this? And then we're co-coaching.
Yeah. So
that's why I think tweaks are so important, because it gets us out of the hammock, the comfort zone hammock. I hate that.
That's good.
And I think we don't even have a comfort zone. I believe when it comes to speaking and public speaking especially, we're on a comfort dot. We can't move off of it. We're in a speaker barrel. When we hold our hands like this, somebody told everybody to hold their hands like this. I do not know why you would want to put a ring around your belly button so people could see it better.
I love that.
So I just say, let your hands follow your words.
Yeah.
You cannot say, this happened. I took my grandson to Disney World and it was magical.
Yeah.
It was magical. Did you feel it was magical? Yeah. Well, let me see what that feels like. Oh, it was magical. Then was that believable? Was that word believable?
Yeah.
Those are tiny, tiny, tiny things, but I think they make a huge impact. I call them micro actions with macro impact.
Well, and micro actions, those are all very much more doable to have small little tweaks.
And I'm not kidding. I video somebody when they first come in telling a story. We do 5 tweaks or 2 tweaks. We video again, and they say, oh my God, I feel so much more powerful. Well, I didn't even tell them to feel powerful.
Yeah.
They just see a little action that looks more powerful and they feel it.
Yeah.
And I believe there's some science behind this. I think it's called somatics, that when we feel or experience something, then it changes the feeling for us, or it changes our belief about something, or it changes our mindset about something because we've had it in our bodies.
Yeah.
I'll give you my example. I bet for 20 years, people have been saying to me, Fox, why do you hitch at the top of your golf swing? You go to the top and then you hitch. You have to get, my daddy would say, you just have to get a little extra. Yeah, I just want a little extra at the top. Well, that extra at the top makes your club come back cockeyed, not straight to the ball. And then you can never guarantee where that hitchy swing is going to go. I've donated a lot of balls to people who find balls in the woods and the water. And I had a golf pro years ago who took his hands and put them over mine. And he said, Fox, your golf swing ends here. Your golf swing ends here. Your golf swing doesn't end up here and then hitched. So if you just feel this, it ends here, it ends here, your hips turn, it ends here. So I can stand all day and make my golf swing end there. And I have a better chance of having it come back to square at the ball. So I've improved. But it was in my body that I could feel it, not 20 years. Well, don't move at the top. You're trying to take too much. It didn't happen by words. It didn't happen by watching the video. It happened by my hands feeling it.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
I love that. So you talked to us about your daddy and his voice that still is in your ear with Opportunity Knocks and In Walks Jan Fox. What other personal mantra do you carry with you through the day? Or what do you carry with you when you are feeling at the bottom? You're tired, you don't necessarily have a lot of energy to give. What gets you back in and what gets you going?
Well, my husband will tell you that if he tells me no, I find 100 ways to ask it again, because obviously I didn't ask it right. There's another way to get to yes. So I just live by it's possible. If you're going to tell me something's impossible, I'm just going to try to prove you wrong. And that's what I live. I believe that I live on the edge of new possibility every day. Someday I don't feel like it. Riding the metro home today, racing 100 miles an hour, I felt that strain in this old body a little bit. But I got in and started setting this up and thinking about your questions and wondering how in the world you found out all that stuff. And then all of a sudden I'm standing on the edge of possibility, connecting more deeply with you. So that's my mantra, stand on the edge of new possibility.
I love it. I love it. Who do you go to for your inspiration? You are hugely inspiring and hugely motivating, and you will probably say, oh, stop it. I'm not. I know.
Doing my thing.
Just doing my thing. But who do you go to for your inspiration and for your guidance?
I have an answer for that, but I sometimes go to memory of my dad. And I remind myself that my brother grew up in that same house on that little old street, in that little old town. And my brother has had 575 college basketball wins as an athletic director and as a coach. Nobody in a 5-block radius of that little house has that to his name. Plus, athletic director of the year, coach of the year, many times in the NAIA conference, in the Chicagoland Hall of Fame. So these two kids out of that house got a message that things were possible. Yeah. So I just go to that memory somehow. And then the other thing is my hubby's sitting right in there on the phone doing a conference call, doing the same thing I'm doing, because he can't retire either. A friend of his said, you used to be big real estate projects like every basketball team or every stadium that's been built for a football, Major League Football. My husband probably did a market analysis or feasibility study, Excel spreadsheets that last from here to Kansas. They even have macros in them that switch around to say how many hot dogs will they buy if they come. And so he's had a big real estate niche for many years. And a friend of his said, hey, why don't you just come with me and flip houses? We'll make people happy. We'll give them their dream houses. My guy in his suit now goes out with his kit boots on and his backpack on and goes and flips houses, and somebody who couldn't afford a house has a place to live.
I love it.
So he's in there doing the same thing. And he's the rock. When I'm tired, he takes care. He's he's a better caretaker than I am. He's a better nurturer than I am. And so I love him dearly. And we've been together a long time. And also, he's very, very, very wise. He'll kill me for saying this, but I never have to look up the spelling or the meaning of a word, and I never have to do a math problem because he can do them all in his head.
That's awesome.
I have this kid. She's 47, the #1 DJ in Fredericksburg, and she's also been the #1 seller in a direct marketing program that she worked in for years. And now she's so good at selling, they let her have time during the week to sell ads for the radio station. She's doubled her salary, owns 2 houses. So I'm motivated by watching her be motivated too.
Yeah.
And I do have an 11-year-old granddaughter coming behind her. So I've got this dad who's a driver. That's generation 1. I'm generation 2 driver. My kid's a driver. And this one is saying, hey, Papa, don't hit that pothole. Grammy Jan, you know this shampoo. You can buy a lot cheaper shampoo than this shampoo. Everything. And if we're looking for a reason maybe why something won't work, that kid figures it out. So
that's amazing.
I know. So we have 4 generations of doers.
I love it. So I have no more questions. Do you have anything else that is sitting in you that you want to share, that you'd like to say, something that you'd like to express?
Yes. It's not good to talk in comparisons, right? But have you seen how fast I've talked and how my hands are going and how I've got 1,000 words and they just roll and I can't stop and I double answer your question, you know? Have you seen all that? That's a certain kind of persona. It's a fast-paced, let's go do something kind of persona.
Yeah.
I want everybody who's watching to look at your persona. And if your full face, is your full face on their screens too?
Yes.
Okay. Look at the peace that comes out of her mouth. Look at the settled nature that she works out of. Look at how she digs deep for the questions to have a more meaningful conversation. So if you're working with her, do what she says. That's what I want to say.
I love that. Well, and that kind of goes to the discussion around listening and when someone's sharing their story, how to receive that and then how to ask questions to be curious and to go that next step in. So.
And you do that. You do that beautifully. This was great fun.
Thanks. I could talk to you all day.
I know.
Thank you so much.
We should just forget this Zoom thing and just go have a lot of coffee and eat chocolate. We'd be talking a great time.
I'm so with you on that. Thank you, Jan.
Thank you, Naomi.
Bye.
Bye-bye.